Hi guys, today I will show you how you can build this super simple elevator I showcased some time ago on my channel. I will quickly demonstrate how to use it. You have to right click this node block to go one floor up. And by right clicking the node block on the left, the elevator goes one floor down. Just like this. But you are not allowed to spam click this node block. But if you want to go really fast to a higher floor, you can right click the next node block as soon as you see it. For example, like this. And now you're already on floor 4. I will also show how you can add a call function, but it's only a semi-call function because the elevator always moves only one floor up or down. So you have to right click the call function multiple times to get the elevator to your floor. Which is a bit annoying, but it's always a trade-off between compactness and how simple it is to build. Next, I will quickly explain how this elevator works, so you know what you are building. I will put in timestamps, so if you are not interested, you can just skip to the beginning of the tutorial. To understand this elevator, we will first look at walls, because they change shape depending on the blocks next to them and above them. If I place in a block right here, this wall changes shape and all walls underneath it change shape as well, which is detected by these observers, as you can see. This can also be done using a trapdoor, which can be easily powered with an observer, for example, just like this. If we now add a piston facing each other and activate a clock, we get a so-called piston worm, which already looks like an elevator to me. If we now want to make it a multi-floor elevator, going up is really easy. We just have to power the clock for a certain amount of time, for example with a wooden button, and the elevator moves one floor up. And to go back down, we have to apply a certain sequence, because we have to pulse it once, apply then the certain amount of time, and another pulse, and now it's again in the original position, and it is ready to go up or down again. Essentially, this is exactly what is happening inside of this elevator. Let's quickly follow what happens if we right-click this node block. The observer detects the change of the node of this node block and powers this trapdoor, which then changes the shape of this wall. So all the walls underneath change as well, which gets detected by this observer powering this block, which powers this dispenser with a bucket inside. So water gets placed in front or removed, which creates bubble columns or removes them all the way up here till this observer, which then detects this. So if we right click the node block on the right, we get a pulse here, and if we right click the node block on the left, we get a pulse over here. And the redstone on top of here does the sequence I explained before and powers these trapdoors and all of these walls, which ultimately power these piston worms, pushing the cabin of the elevator. How do the doors know when to open? There's a composter attached to the cabin, moving along, and when the elevator arrives at a certain floor, this comparator creates a signal powering this redstone line, and behind here there is a torch which then gets turned off, turning off this redstone line and also depowering those two repeaters, which then retracts the blocks in front of the pistons, and the same thing on the other side. Using piston worms for elevators isn't new. I even found a video from more than 10 years ago by Maizuma Games. In combination with the walls and observer towers, this method is really flexible, and I will show you a few examples I built on the screen now. A really long elevator, which I think is pretty funny. A moving platform. A circular moving platform. A whole moving room. An elevator with doors on both sides. Alright, let's start with the tutorial. First, let's check if there is enough space for your elevator. From the ground floor you need 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks beneath. And from your highest floor you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blocks above. Now you have to decide how high one floor should be. In this tutorial I will build exactly this elevator, which repeats every 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can also have 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In theory it's also possible to have a higher distance, but I did not build it. And also you cannot mix different heights. It has to be the same within one elevator. If this is the door of your ground level, you need to dig out an 8x8, which is 4 blocks deep. Now you will place in 2 temporary blocks here, 2 bricks here, a block here, and 1 node block for going up. Now I want to have floors repeating every 4 blocks, which means I will place in 1 block less, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th block is a node block, and here as well. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you will repeat this how many floors you want to have. You can have as many as you want. I will build 5 blocks, so I have to go 1 more, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the last one, you will place only on the left a node block, a block on the right, and 2 more bricks. For 5 floors, it should look like this. But you can, of course, have a different spacing here, and you can have as many floors as you want. For example, if you want to have a spacing of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3 floors, 1, 2, 3, it will look like this. Next, you want to find this corner right here, place in 2 blocks here, and start by placing in observers and glazed terracotta, like this, all the way to the top. At the top you want to place in 4 more observers, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2 blocks on top, like this. And the same on the other side, so you want to place in 2 more blocks here, and again observers facing into the glazed terracotta, like this, to the top. So it looks like this. Continue with 2 more blocks here, walls in front of the observers and blocks next to the wall, also all the way to the top. And the same thing on the other side as well. Like this. Now come in here and place in a soul sand or magma block and blocks surrounding it, and on top of them blocks as well, and place in a dispenser facing into this column here and blocks as well, and now blocks all the way to the top. The same thing on the other side as well. So you will place in a soul sand here, blocks surrounding it, more blocks on top, a dispenser facing towards the soul sand, and more blocks all the way to the top. Now you want to fill in these holes completely with water sources. You could do it with water buckets, but that's really tedious. I recommend placing in a water source at the top, letting the water flow down, and then coming in with kelp and placing it all the way to the top, which converts the flowing water into water sources, so you don't have to do it yourself. And once you're at the top, you just swim back down again and remove the kelp. And now it should all convert to bubble columns, pushing you up, and now everything is filled with water sources, which is exactly what you want. And the same on the other side as well. Just like this. Next, you want to come down here and place in 2 observers facing downwards, powering these dispensers later, and place walls on top of them. And now we have to fill in this 2 block gap with walls all the way to the top, but whenever we encounter a node block, we will place in an observer looking at the node block. And we need more walls on top of here, and then place a trapdoor. I use a iron trapdoor, but you can use any trapdoor. By clicking at the wall, it is really important you don't click the trapdoor at the observer, but at the wall, so it opens toward the wall. Now stacking up with walls again. There are more node blocks, so we place in observers and trapdoors at the wall. At the top there's only 1 node block, so we'll place in just 1 observer and 1 trapdoor, and I recommend 2 more walls and 2 solid blocks on top of it, just like this. You also need trapdoors next to these walls as well. Next, we will build a platform for the redstone at the top here. So we'll start by building a platform which goes 1 block beyond what is already built. Just like this. And on top of the water, you need to place an observer looking at the water column here as well. And you can fill the rest in with blocks. And then at the front here, you want to replace those 2 blocks with a slab or with glass blocks, just like this. Now we will have to build a little bit of scary redstone. So let's start by placing a block here and a repeater looking this way, another block and another repeater into a block. Then place in redstone dust over here. Continue with an observer powering this redstone and an observer this way and a piston pushing this observer. Then continue with 3 more redstone dust over here, a comparator facing this way and this way. This will later be a pulse extender. And now come in and place in a block over here, all the way to this piston, but replace 1 block before with a slab again. And now we have to put in redstone, 2 repeaters, and more redstone on top of this. Just like this. Now finish off with a block here and one redstone dust here. Now there's a little bit of redstone missing in this area here, but this depends on what your spacing between the floors is. If your elevator repeats every 4 blocks, just like mine, you will place in redstone dust here, a repeater on 2 ticks, a block here, and redstone along here. If your elevator repeats every 5 blocks, you will place in a block here, and redstone going here, a repeater on 2 ticks, with a block on top, and blocks over here, with redstone on top. For 6 blocks, you will place in a block here, redstone along here, a repeater on 2 ticks, with a block on top, some more blocks here, with redstone on top, just like this. For elevators repeating every 7 blocks, you will place in a block here, a bit of redstone, a repeater on 2 ticks, a block over here, and redstone along here. For 8 blocks, you will place in a block here and redstone next to it, then a repeater on 2 ticks, and a repeater on 3 ticks, a block here, and then redstone connecting everything, like this. And finally, if your elevator repeats every 9 blocks, you'll put in a block here and redstone next to it, a repeater on 2 ticks, a repeater on 4 ticks next to it, and another repeater on 1 tick. Place a block here, and connect it with redstone. If your elevator has more than 9 blocks repeating, you might have to message me to find a solution. Now the elevator should already be working, and I recommend you to test it before continue building. To do this, come down here and start by placing in pistons looking at each other, here as well, and place in honey blocks on top, and 2 floor blocks of your cabin, then the 3 wall blocks of your cabin on top, with some more honey, and your ceiling. I recommend light so it's not dark in your cabin, and a few more sticky pistons looking at each other. And you want to come to the back and place in a bucket in each of the dispenser. Now make sure your elevator really reaches every floor and you did not make any mistakes. Mine looks good. If your elevator works so far, continue by placing in solid blocks in this corner all the way up to the top and 1 block higher than your bricks, and on the other side as well, just like this. And now we can start by placing in glazed terracotta over here, pistons, sticky pistons over here with your door blocks in front, and then next you will place in more glazed terracotta all the way to the next floor. The next floor is right over here, so we'll place in again sticky pistons with doors in front, and also this is your floor and ceiling, and continue this all the way to the top. and at the top as well, glazed terracotta. If you have a higher spacing between the floors, it might look like this. So you would place more glazed terracotta over here, and in between here you can place any solid block you want. Of course, the doors are supposed to line up with the node blocks, like here. Now to control the doors, we need to place in a bit of redstone. So whenever there are 3 pistons, you will start by placing in 2 glazed terracotta with repeaters on top of it. Continue with a block and a slab over here, another block, another slab and a block here. Place in redstone on top and a torch powering the pistons. Now do this for every floor. So we continue here. Like this, all the way to the top. And on the other side mirrored as well. So you place in your glazed terracotta with repeaters, a block and a slab, another block, a slab and a block, with redstone on top, and a torch. So it should look something like this, and all your doors should be closed. For floors with a higher spacing, it might look something like this. So we just have some redstone here, and for this door some redstone here, and here as well. The same, of course, for the other side. Next, you want to come all the way to the top and locate this observer over here and stand on top of it. And now place in a block, 2 slabs, another block, and a slab 1 lower. Place in a comparator and 4 redstone dust on top. Do this on every floor, so we go to the next observers, place in 2 blocks, the 2 slabs and another slab with the comparator and redstone dust on top. Here as well. And on your lowest level there's only 1 observer left, but still the same, a block, slabs, block, another slab with a comparator and redstone on top. And now there should be this honey block right here, and place a composter next to it and fill it up at least to the fill level of 4. This should now depower this torch and open the door, because the cabin is on this floor. Now you can again test if all the doors are working. So you just hop into the cabin and go to the higher floor. And you will see the doors are working, but they are flashing a little bit. This is completely normal, also when going down. And we will fix this by placing in some observers next. As you can see, all the doors are opened correctly and are closed again. And to fix the doors from flashing, you want to come to the redstone powering the door and find this block below this block and replace it with an observer looking at the wall like this. And on top of this slab you will find this observer you just placed and replace this block with an observer looking down at the observer and powering this block and this redstone. And you will also find these 3 observers and place on the third 1 observer and 1 observer looking down. And you will do this for every door. So again, you will find this block. You probably want to replace temporarily this redstone to stand on top of it. Replace the block by placing an observer. Of course, fix it again what you broke. And place in the observer on top of here. Find these 3 observers. Place an observer here and here. Just like this. Do this for every floor and of course on the other side as well. So you will find this block here. Place in a temporary block here. Replace it with an observer looking at the wall. And on top another observer on top of here. And again these 3 observers with 1 additional observer here and 1 downwards. Now to stop the doors from flashing, we will have to place in some observers, but we will have to replace blocks right next to the water. So you have to be really quick with it, otherwise the water will flow out and destroy your redstone. So what I recommend doing is, let's quickly go into survival mode, put in the observers into your offhand and the pickaxe into your main hand. Now look at this corner, hold down right click and break this block. And now this way you will really quickly place in the observer and no water will flow out. And the same over here as well. on top of this observer, you will replace it with another observer. And you will also locate these 3 observers above this redstone and place in another observer here and down here. And now you will do this for every floor. So we will come in again here. I recommend you place temporary blocks here to stand on top. To place this observer, looking at the wall, place in again the redstone you removed, and again another observer on top, and locate these 3 observers and place in more observers. The same thing, of course, on the other side. We'll start here with an observer and an observer on top, and again observers here and here. Do this for every door. So here's the next door. Follow the redstone, and below this we need the observer right here, and on top another observer, and here as well, and at the top here as well the last observers. So it should look something like this. Observers on every floor. For the elevators with the higher spacing, it looks something like this. So we have the 2 observers over here and over here. For this door, these 4 observers, and for the last door also these 4 observers, of course on both sides. Now I recommend you to test if the doors are all working. In my case, the cabin moved away. So I recommend to find it wherever it is now and remove it. And build it again. Don't forget to replace the composter at the end. So place in pistons here with honey on top, your floor, the wall, honey again, your ceiling, and finally more pistons on top here, like this. And don't forget to add in the composter, so go to the back side, find your lowest comparator, and next to the honey block, place in the composter on level 4. Now we can test if the doors are all working correctly. So head into the cabin and check out all floors. This looks good. Also good. And no more flashing, and the doors open and close cleanly. Perfect. If everything is working, you can place in the second half of the cabin. So you go down here and start by placing some more pistons, looking at each other. Here as well, they have to be sticky pistons. Then place in 2 slime blocks on top of here. More floor and your wall. Like this. And now 2 more slime blocks over here. Your ceiling. And some more sticky pistons over here. And also over here. And now everything should still be working. You can test it out. And as you can see, the elevator is now almost done. If you want, you can add in this ringing sound whenever the elevator arrives at a new floor. To do this, you will go to your lowest floor and locate this slab over here. and place a gold block next to it with a node block on top and a solid block next to it. You want to place redstone on top of it, but this would power this block and also this node block, which would be a problem. So we'll have to replace this brick with a stair, so this node block doesn't get powered. And to stop from anything updating, I recommend you to break this observer temporarily, then place in the stair, place in the redstone, and again place the observer. The stair is only necessary for the elevator that repeats every 4 blocks. Otherwise, there won't be a node block on top of it, which would cause any problems. So do this for every floor. So you will find your next slab with the comparator, place in a gold block and a node block on top with a block next to it. And again, remove this observer to place in the stair. Again, you can place the redstone and place again the observer. Same over here. Here you can see there's no node block over here, so we don't need the stair, and we can just place in the redstone. For the elevator with the higher spacing, as you can see, there's also this gold block next to the slab with the node block on top and the redstone, but we don't need a stair because there's no node block, which would cause problems. And again here, gold block with node block and redstone, and at the very top as well. I just realized I forgot to add in the chime for the highest floor, so you will find this slab placed in a gold block with a node block on top and the block with redstone, like this. Now you can decorate your elevator. What I did was place in, of course, a floor with andesite, and I placed in this frame with stripped oak wood and placed in a composter with leaves, which I think looks quite nice. And this, of course, for every floor. What's also quite nice is to put in banners with a number, so you know which floor you're on. I will put in a link in the description on how to create those banners in different colors. If your build has a cleaner aesthetic, of course, you can also place in any blocks here, like this. Now the elevator is done and you can finally use it. If you want to add the call function, that is a little bit more work, and I will show you how to do that now. Start by placing down a button over here with a dropper below it and 2 observers like this into a block. This signal then goes into a repeater and a sticky piston next to this glazed terracotta with a block below it and another block with a repeater like this. Then you will find this block over here, place down a redstone torch, a block over here and a repeater on 2 ticks. Then you want to place down a block next to this repeater and a piston next to it with an observer pointing upwards, and 2 blocks over here with redstone on top, like this, and a repeater on top of this block. And you have to do this for every floor. So again, start by placing down a button a dropper, 2 observers into a block, into a repeater, a piston with a block, a torch, and a repeater on 2 ticks. You need another block over here with a repeater, and a block on here, piston with observer over here, 2 more blocks with redstone, and a block with a repeater. Just like this, and of course you can fill in again the floors over here. And also some more wall blocks over here. You can replace the floor to make it look nicer. For the elevators with the higher spacing, it might look something like this. So we have all of this redstone over here. Next, you want to go inside and find your lowest comparator, which is this one over here, and then go to your next lowest, which is this one over here, and place in a slab 2 blocks beneath it. So this would be 1 block, and this would be 2 blocks beneath, with a repeater on 1 tick on top of it. And then go to the back side and place in an observer looking at this repeater by holding down Shift, like this. Now do this for every floor. So you find your next comparator, which would be this one. Place a slab 2 blocks beneath it with a repeater and an observer looking at this repeater, like this. Now over here, your next comparator over here. So place in a slab down here, a slab, and the observer. And for your highest comparator, which would be this one, you don't need to place down the slab. The same thing for the elevators with the higher spacing. So you will find your lowest comparator, which is this one. There you don't need to place the slab below. Your second one is this one. So we will place a slab, a repeater, and an observer, like this. And then your next comparator, in this case, the next one is already the highest one, where it's not necessary to place it down. Next, make sure your elevator is at the lowest floor, down here. Then go to your backside, and we will have to build some redstone for every floor, except for the lowest one and the highest one. So we will start by placing a block here, here, and here, and not there and not over there. Next, continue with a slab over here and 2 redstone dust. Place down a trapdoor at the wall over here, and a piston here and here. Be careful, there's water behind. Place a slab at the back of this piston here, a node block over here with a block on top, and an observer looking at this node block, 2 more blocks over here, and redstone on top of here. Finally, place another trapdoor in front of this piston over here. Do this for every floor, so we will continue here with a slab, redstone dust, and a trapdoor, piston and piston over here with a slab behind, a node block with a block, an observer facing the node block, 2 more blocks, and redstone dust, and this trapdoor. For the highest and lowest one, it's a bit easier. You just come down here, place in 2 blocks and 2 slabs over here with redstone on top, like this, and place a trapdoor right next to this redstone. And at the very top, you only need to place down a block with redstone on top and 1 trapdoor over here. Now you only need to place 1 more observer at the very bottom, right here next to this honey block below the composter. For the elevator that repeats every 4 blocks, you have to replace this block with a slab, so this redstone line does not power this piston. For the elevators with the higher spacing, it's exactly the same, but I will show it anyways. Make sure the elevator is at the lowest floor and come to the back side, and ignore the first call function line and go to the next one and start by placing down a block and a slab with redstone on top, like this, and a trapdoor at the wall. Continue with 2 pistons over here, be careful of the water, and a slab behind. Put a node block on top with a block and an observer looking at this node block with 2 more blocks and a redstone dust on top of this block and a trapdoor at this block, like this. Do this for all except for the highest and lowest one. For the lowest one, it's then really easy. Again, just 2 more blocks and 2 more slabs with redstone on top and a trapdoor at the wall right next to this redstone dust. And for the highest one, it's even more easy. Just place down a block with redstone and another trapdoor. At the end, you only have to place in this last observer at this honey block. Now the elevator is finally done. If I want to call the elevator, I just press the button. It moves 1 floor up, it's not enough. I have to press again. And the elevator finally arrives at my floor. And if the elevator is above my floor, the call function will correctly call the elevator down to this floor. That's all I wanted to show. Thanks a lot for watching and enjoy your day.